All right, folks, settle in. You ever have that one person, that one neighbor, that one coworker, that one stranger you just seem to attract who embodies every awful stereotype you've ever heard? Mine, for a brief, terrifying period, was a woman I encountered exclusively at the local grocery store. And yes, if you're imagining a certain haircut and a specific level of entitlement, you're probably not far off. Let's just call her Karen because, well, it fits. Her real name isn't important, but the level of audacity she possessed certainly is. Now, before we get into fireworks, let me set the scene. I'm a regular guy, mostly keep to myself. I have a pretty normal life. Except for one pretty significant detail. I'm blind. Been that way for a long time now. I navigate the world with my trusty cane, a good sense of direction, and frankly, a lot of practice. Getting groceries is just part of the routine. I know my local store like the back of my hand, or at least like the cane knows the floor plan. Everything was perfectly fine, utterly mundane, until I crossed paths with Karen. The first time wasn't even a confrontation. It was just the stares. I could feel them. That prickling sensation on the back of your neck, like someone's drilling holes into your skull with their eyes. I was in the produce section, feeling for the right avocados. You know, the not too hard, not too mushy ones, the Goldilocks of avocados. My cane was leaning against the display. Pretty standard stuff for a blind guy shopping. I finished up there, moved on, and still felt it. Glancing vaguely in the direction of the feeling, you get a sense for where people are, even if you can't see them clearly. I could tell she was watching me. Not just a casual glance, but like I was Bigfoot riding a unicycle through the cereal aisle. Weird, I thought. Maybe she's just never seen a blind person with a cane before. Doubtful, but okay, whatever. People are strange. But then it happened again, and again. Every time I was in the store, I'd sense her presence, and then feel those laser beam eyes. Sometimes she'd be in the next aisle over, clearly peeking. Sometimes she'd be further away, but still staring. It went from weird to genuinely unsettling. It was like she thought I was some kind of performance art piece, or maybe a very poorly disguised spy. One day, she took it up a notch. I was in the frozen food section, looking for something specific. I think it was those little taquitos, a personal weakness. I heard her muttering nearby. At first, I couldn't make it out, just a low growl. Then, louder, clearly meant for me to hear. Look at that. Just wandering around. Suspicious. Suspicious? Me? The guy with the bright white cane, carefully navigating around freezer doors? What exactly was suspicious about trying to find taquitos? Was I casing the joint for a high-stakes frozen food heist? Was I a master thief using a cane as a prop? It was absurd. I decided to try the polite, normal human approach. I turned slightly towards the sound of her voice. "Excuse me," I said, keeping my tone level, trying to project an air of mild confusion rather than annoyance. "Did you say something?" She scoffed. It was a masterpiece of scoff, full of derision and superiority. "You heard me," she snapped. "Just looking. Shifty. People shouldn't just wander around like that." "Like what?" I asked, genuinely baffled. "I'm shopping. With my cane. This is how I shop." "Oh, playing the blind card, are we?" she sneered. "Playing the blind card?" I wanted to ask what other card I was supposed to play. The tap-dancing octopus card? But I bit my tongue. "You just look. Like you're up to something. Not looking where you're going, bumping into things." I hadn't bumped into a single thing. My cane usage is, if I may say so myself, pretty darn good. "Ma'am," I said, taking a step back, trying to disengage. "I assure you, I'm just buying groceries. There's nothing suspicious happening here." She just glared. I could practically feel the heat of it. I turned back to my taquito quest, hoping she'd just go away. She didn't. I could still feel her there, watching. The whole encounter left a bad taste in my mouth, colder than the frozen taquitos I eventually found. This pattern continued. Every time I saw her, the stares, the muttering, the general aura of intense, misplaced suspicion. Sometimes she'd cough loudly as I passed. Sometimes she'd make little discussion noises. It was like she had made it her personal mission to make me feel uncomfortable and unwelcome in a public place where I had every right to be. I considered complaining to the store manager, but what would I say? There's a lady who stares at me and thinks I look suspicious because I'm blind. It sounded petty and I didn't have any real proof of harassment beyond my own feeling and a few muttered comments. I just wanted to live my life, buy my groceries, and not deal with whatever this was. I tried changing the times I shopped, hoping to avoid her. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It was like she had a radar for my cane's click on the linoleum, and her behavior kept escalating, albeit in small, irritating ways. One time, she deliberately stepped in front of me as I was reaching for something on a low shelf, forcing me to stop short. Another time, she loudly declared to nobody in particular, "Some people just think they can do whatever they want," as I was navigating a slightly crowded aisle. My patience was wearing thin. I wasn't a confrontational person by nature. I preferred to navigate obstacles, both literal and metaphorical, with minimal fuss. But she was becoming a recurring, unavoidable problem. She was injecting stress and anxiety into a simple errand. Then came the last straw, and oh boy, was it a doozy. This wasn't just stares or muttering anymore. This was a full-blown physical assault. I was at the front of the store, near the self-checkout area, waiting for my ride. My hands were full with 2 grocery bags, and my cane was folded, tucked under my arm. I was standing slightly off to the side, out of the main flow of traffic, just listening to the sounds of the store, waiting for the text that my ride was outside. Suddenly, I heard that familiar, dreaded voice, much closer than usual. Just standing there, not buying anything, just loitering, looking around shiftily even without the stick. I flinched. My head snapped in the direction of the sound. "Excuse me," I said, my voice probably betraying my irritation this time. "I'm waiting for my ride. I just finished shopping." "Oh, I bet," she scoffed. "Probably casing the joint. Or maybe you already stashed something in those bags." This was beyond ridiculous. "I'm blind," I exclaimed, holding up one of my bags slightly. "I just checked out. My receipt is right here." "That's what you want me to think," she shrieked. And then I heard a distinct hiss followed by an immediate, burning pain in my face and eyes. Pepper spray. She had pepper sprayed me. A blind man, standing still, holding groceries, waiting for a ride. Because I looked suspicious. The burning was intense, blindingly so, if you'll pardon the terrible pun. My eyes, already non-functional in the visual sense, were screaming. My skin felt like it was on fire. I gasped, dropping my bags, stumbling back, trying to rub my eyes, which only spread the chemical fire. People were shouting now. Store employees rushed over. I heard Karen yelling. "He looked suspicious. He was just standing there. You don't know what he was doing." Someone, bless them, guided me to the restrooms, helped me rinse my face with water. It took ages for the burning to subside to a manageable level. My eyes were still watering uncontrollably, and my skin felt raw. Meanwhile, the store manager had called the police. And thank goodness for that. When the officers arrived, I was able to explain, haltingly, what happened. They spoke to witnesses, other shoppers who had seen Karen accost me, and then deploy the spray. They spoke to the store manager. And, crucially, they checked the security cameras. The video, according to the manager and later confirmed by the police, showed me standing exactly where I said I was, bags in hand, cane folded. It showed Karen approaching me, yelling, and then deploying what was clearly pepper spray right into my face. No suspicious movements, no attempting to steal, just me standing there, waiting. Karen, naturally, was still trying to justify herself, screaming about how I was acting suspicious, how she felt threatened, how I was probably faking being blind to get away with something the officers, I think, were just flabbergasted by the sheer absurdity of it all. They arrested her, on charges of assault and battery, possibly reckless endangerment, given the public nature of the attack. She was escorted out, still yelling about my suspicious behavior, and how she was the real victim here. You really can't make this stuff up. So okay, legal action was happening regarding the assault. She was facing actual consequences for the physical attack. Victory, right? The problem person was removed, at least temporarily, by the law. Wrong. While I was relieved she was arrested, the incident itself, and her reason for doing it, gnawed at me. "Look suspicious," She thought a blind man with a cane and grocery bags looked suspicious enough to warrant a chemical attack. The utter disrespect, the dehumanization, the sheer idiotic entitlement of judging someone based on a visible disability and a complete lack of understanding. The legal process would handle the assault, but I wanted to handle the looking suspicious part. I wanted her to understand, in a way that hit her where it hurt, what truly looking suspicious felt like. And I wanted it to happen in that store, the scene of her crime and her ridiculous accusation. I couldn't physically confront her again, even if she wasn't facing charges. That ship had sailed. And I certainly wasn't going to pepper spray her, tempting as the thought might have been in a dark moment. No, this required finesse. This required engineering. I started by gathering intel. I knew her general routine from our unfortunate encounters. I confirmed with a sympathetic store employee who had witnessed the pepper spray incident and was appalled that Karen was indeed a regular, usually shopping on specific days and times. I also learned she was a frequent user of the self-checkout lanes, often spending a long time there, sometimes arguing about prices or coupons. The employee also mentioned Karen had a bit of a reputation for, let's just say, being very careful about ensuring she got every possible discount, sometimes to an extent that bordered on manipulative. Okay, self-checkout user, prone to try to game the system, even if just slightly, accused me of looking suspicious and potentially stealing. The pieces were starting to come together. My plan wasn't about planting evidence of major theft. That was too risky and too complicated. It was about creating a situation where she looked suspicious, where her own actions could be misinterpreted, and where the discovery was public and slightly embarrassing, all while directly linking it back to her accusation against me. I needed an item, something small, relatively high value, and easily overlooked. Something that, if found unscanned and separate, would immediately look questionable. I also needed to be the one to find it or at least draw attention to it subtly. And it had to happen at the self-checkout, her preferred habitat for subtle rule-bending. I settled on a small bottle of expensive vanilla extract. Not something everyone buys, distinctive packaging and pricey for its size. Perfect. The next part was the timing and execution. I waited for the day and time I knew she usually shopped. I went to the store myself, armed with my cane, my shopping list, and the bottle of vanilla extract tucked away securely. I did my own shopping, keeping an ear out for her voice or presence. Eventually, I sensed she was there. I finished my shopping quickly, purchasing just a few small, cheap items at a regular checkout lane, so I had a bag and a receipt. Then, I made my way towards the self-checkout area, navigating carefully with my cane, trying to appear like any other shopper just finishing up or browsing nearby. I positioned myself subtly. There was a bank of self-checkout machines, and I stood a little distance away, near the end of one, appearing to check my bags or look at a nearby display. I listened. I could hear her distinctive voice at one of the machines, complaining about a price not matching the shelf tag. Classic Karen. She was bagging her items. Now was the moment. I moved closer, using my cane to feel the edge of the self-checkout counter she was using. As she finished scanning, paid, and started putting her final items into her reusable bags, I executed the maneuver. I held my own bag of cheap items in one hand. In the other, I palmed the bottle of vanilla extract. As I slowly moved past the end of her machine, I deliberately stumbled slightly, just enough to make my cane tap loudly and cause my hand with the vanilla extract to swing out. The bottle slipped from my grip, landing on the floor right next to her reusable bags, almost touching one. "Oh dear," I exclaimed, perhaps a little louder than strictly necessary, sounding flustered. I tapped my cane around the floor near my feet. I seem to have dropped something. I can't quite find it. Karen stopped what she was doing. I could hear her huff of impatience. The self-checkout machine chirped its transaction complete tune. I continued tapping my cane. Think it rolled. Maybe near. Here. I guided the cane towards where the vanilla extract had fallen, right by her bags. Ah, there it is. I bent down, located the bottle, and picked it up. Holding the bottle, I turned towards the general direction of Karen and the self-checkout attendant who was nearby, monitoring the stations. "Excuse me," I said, pitching my voice to sound polite but a little confused. Did this perhaps fall out of your bag? I held the bottle up vaguely. It fell right next to your things, and I don't remember having this. Karen went rigid. I couldn't see her face, but I could hear the sudden tension in her posture. The attendant looked over, alerted by my slightly loud, confused query. What? Karen snapped, her voice rising immediately. No, that's not mine. What are you talking about? Oh, okay, I said calmly. It just fell right next to your bag here, and I didn't want you to lose it if it was yours. It's vanilla extract? Looks quite expensive. I mentioned the item and its potential value explicitly. The attendant walked over. Problem here? He asked, his tone neutral but observant. Yes, Karen practically shrieked. This man, the blind one, he dropped this. I held the bottle up again, right next to my bag, and is trying to say it's mine. He's trying to frame me. Now this was perfect. Her immediate, over-the-top defensive reaction, the accusation that I was trying to frame her, it was exactly the kind of entitled, paranoid behavior that would raise an eyebrow. I remained calm. Oh, not at all, I said, addressing the attendant. I was just standing here, finished my shopping, and I seem to have dropped this bottle. It landed right by this customer's bag, so I thought perhaps it was hers and had gotten mixed up. I certainly didn't purchase it. I made sure to mention I didn't purchase it. The attendant looked at the bottle, then at my bag, which was clearly full of different, cheaper items, then at Karen's bags, which were full of her groceries, and then back at the vanilla extract. Karen was practically vibrating with indignation. He's lying. You put it there. He's always acting suspicious in here. Wandering around, bumping into things, probably trying to steal. She actually brought up the acting suspicious part again, right in front of a store employee, and the bumping into things which hadn't happened. I could almost feel a smile playing on my lips. Ma'am, the attendant said to Karen, his tone cooling noticeably. He says he dropped it, and it landed next to your bag. He's asking if it's yours. If it's not, then it's just a dropped item, and he didn't buy it. But he's lying, she insisted, her face, I imagined, getting redder and redder. He put it there. He's trying to make me look like a thief. He thinks he can get away with anything because she trailed off, probably catching herself before saying blind in front of the attendant. But the implication hung in the air. He seems to be the one who found it and brought it to our attention, the attendant pointed out, looking between us. If he were trying to steal it, he likely wouldn't have drawn attention to it. This logic seemed to escape Karen entirely. But he's suspicious. He attacked me last week. Pepper sprayed me. Okay, that caught the attendant's attention. He looked at me, then at Karen, confusion replacing his slight annoyance. Ma'am, you were the one who was arrested for pepper spraying him last week. The police report states you admitted to it. Oh, delicious, delicious irony. She tried to use the incident where she assaulted me as proof I was suspicious, and the attendant knew about it. Karen sputtered. That was different. He was being suspicious, and now he's doing this, trying to plant things on me. Ma'am, please calm down, the attendant said, holding up a hand. He picked up the bottle of vanilla extract. I'll just take this to Lost and Found. Sir, he said to me, are you okay? Did you need any help? No, I'm fine, thank you, I replied calmly. Just a clumsy moment. I'm sorry for the confusion. I could hear Karen huffing and puffing, grabbing her bags roughly. The attendant gave her a look, probably a mix of exasperation and suspicion. He had just witnessed her being loud, aggressive, making wild accusations, claiming I was trying to frame her with an item I'd found and pointed out, and heard her admit, while trying to deny, the previous week's assault. Who looked suspicious now? She stomped off, muttering angrily. The attendant shook his head and walked away with the vanilla extract. My plan had worked perfectly. I hadn't technically framed her, but I had engineered a situation where she, through her own paranoia and aggression, had made herself look incredibly guilty and unstable over a dropped item. Her immediate leap to "he's trying to frame me," combined with her known history of assaulting me for looking suspicious, painted a picture of a truly problematic individual. The fallout from this was swift and immensely satisfying. The store manager, Alerted by the attendant about Karen's behavior and her attempted reentry after the pepper spray incident, reviewed the self-checkout camera footage. They saw me drop the item near her. They saw my polite, slightly confused interaction with the attendant, and they saw Karen's explosive, accusatory reaction. Coupled with the previous week's assault footage and arrest, the manager made a decision. Karen was permanently banned from the store. They sent her a formal trespass notice. Any future attempts to enter would result in police intervention. On the legal front, the assault charges moved forward. With the clear camera footage, witness testimony, and her own increasingly erratic behavior, including the incident at the self-checkout which the prosecution was made aware of, she didn't have a leg to stand on. She ended up pleading down to a lesser charge to avoid trial, receiving a hefty fine, mandatory anger management classes, and a permanent restraining order prohibiting her from coming within a certain distance of me. The looking suspicious accusation had blown up in her face, quite literally with the pepper spray, and then figuratively with the store ban and legal consequences. She tried to weaponize suspicion against me, a blind man going about his day. And in the end, she was the one deemed too suspicious and volatile to even be allowed in the grocery store. Peace returned to my grocery shopping trips. I never saw her again. I still shop at that store. The staff are always friendly and often ask how I'm doing. Sometimes you just have to take the petty road to justice. You can't let someone attack you, physically and verbally, based on ridiculous, entitled assumptions and get away with it. She thought a blind man was suspicious? Fine. I made sure everyone knew she was the one truly worthy of suspicion. And all it took was a dropped bottle of vanilla extract. I occasionally think about that bottle. I wonder if it's still in the stores lost and found. A small, expensive spice, sitting there, a silent testament to the day Karen's baseless suspicion got the better of her, and a blind man finally got fed up. It wasn't just revenge for the pepper spray. It was revenge for every stare, every mutter, every TSK, every ridiculous accusation of looking suspicious, and, honestly, it was delicious, much sweeter than vanilla.